don't fuck with people cause they sketchy. Finger on the trigger like it's glue.
YouTube, what's going on, man? It's Logan, aka Pittsburgh Jit. In today's banger video, I'm introducing you to the world of Battlefield 6 RedSec. Yeah, man, brand new BR for Battlefield that's gonna compete with Warzone. So, the point of today's video is to give you guys the best settings to prepare you before you hop into an actual game. So, without further ado, let's hop right into the settings because there are a lot of them. Alright guys, so like I said, there are a ton of settings in this game. So my goal is to articulate and explain these settings as best I can and as efficiently as I can. So starting off with the accessibility tab, the main things you want to note here are to turn off menu narration and subtitles. You don't need those. Your master volume, which is all sounds in the game, needs to be at 100. Your tinnitus sound effects volume and tinnitus relief frequency needs to be at the lowest. And then for your graphics quality settings, all you want to do is whenever you choose a color, like say your player color, whatever color you want, drag it all the way to the right with your left stick. Okay? It'll make it as bright as possible. So I'm just going to choose red there and we'll go with it. But just basically do that for every single color that you want. Next, world brightness. I keep it at 40. I think that this makes your game just look colorful, I guess is the best word to describe it. But yeah, I keep it at 40, alright? Camera effects. This is important. Turn your world and weapon motion blur all the way to 0. Infantry HUD motion off. Camera shake amount 50, turn off reduce sprint camera bobbing, and then turn these two off as well. And then for your controls, the main ones that I really want to point out are to turn off double tap forward to sprint, crouch toggle sprint to stand, crouch slide to all, and this is very important, double tap crouch for sprint slide. Turn it off so that you only have to tap your slide button once to slide. And then the last one would be prioritize interact for interact and reload. When you're playing RedSec, just like Warzone, you want to be able to just tap your X button or whatever, your square button, to interact. I guess another one would be toggle for request to revive. I think that's important, like whenever you die or whenever you go down, you can just tap your X or square button to request a revive. And then next would be your controller under accessibility and turn off all vibration. I don't know who plays with controller vibration on, but here's your reminder to turn it off. And then the rest of these are just personal preference. Next, we'll get into the gameplay tab. Alright, now onto the gameplay tab, or as I like to call it, the aim assist tab. You want to scroll all the way down to infantry, go to infantry aim sensitivity, and you want to fine tune this to whatever your preference is, but I keep it at a 50. I found 50 to be the best for me, but again, this is personal preference. Then you want your double tap forward to sprint, like I said, off. Crouch toggle sprint to stand. Vault over sprint on. Sprint door barge on. And parachute auto deploy to tethered only. Roll camera and landing roll on. Mount type side and up. Mount breakout instant. Mount presets combo. Peak type side and up. Again, we have prioritize interact for interact and reload. And then you want to scroll over vehicles and go down to aim assist. Now, I've found Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4 to be the best input curve. Okay? I've tested the other ones. Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4 I've found to be the best. But the aim assist is a very tricky thing to fine tune. I'm giving you my recommendations. Infantry aim assist, obviously you want that at 100. And the slowdown I have at 100 as well. The input curve for the zoom, I have it standard. The vehicle input curve standard. And the vehicle zoom aim input curve at standard. And that really covers that tab right there. So on to HUD. Alright, now on to the HUD tab. And these settings are often overlooked, so there's a lot of them though, and they're very important. You want your show HUD on, infantry HUD motion off, vehicle HUD motion off, horizontal HUD padding at 0, turn on all your overlays, including the SOVIS filter. Go to advanced HUD and icon settings. You want your big map opacity at 85. I found this to be the sweet spot for the big map. Excuse me, your kill feed, you want your show kills made by squad and nearby so that you see your squad kills and you see who's died nearby you. Kill feed icons on, ping notifications, multiplayer on. I just turn that on because when I do play multiplayer, I do want to see the pings. And then ping notifications other on. Turn off show resources, show loot on, show game mode events on, simplified squad list off. You can customize your vehicle HUD colors if you want. And then here's where things get interesting. Your icon intensity you want at 60. Your objective icon scale at 100. Objective icons opacity at 80. And your objective icons opacity zoomed at 40. Objective icons opacity occluded at 20. And then this is going to be rinse and repeat for these, but for your friendly icon scale you want it at 100, the opacity at 60, the zoomed opacity at 40, the icon scale for friendly revive at 100, the icon's opacity for friendly revive at 60, and the icon's opacity zoomed for friendly revive at 40. And like I said, you rinse and repeat that for squad icons. And then your enemy icons, you want everything at 100. You want to be able to see your enemies, that's just a given. And then for your neutral icons, 160/40. Just copy that down. Your ping marker icons, again, you want that at 100. For everything, you want to make sure that you can see your pings. Your aim-based icons opacity here. The peripheral zone size at 50. The scaling center scale at 10. Peripheral 100. Central 100. Peripheral zone size zoomed 50. Scaling center scale. That's a weird setting, but scaling center scale zoomed at 10. The icon's opacity peripheral zoomed at 67, and the icon's opacity central zoomed at 20. Then go down to minimap. Minimap size, you want it at large. You want to see as much of your minimap as you could possibly can. Minimap background opacity at 90, I found that to be the sweet spot. Cone opacity at 15. Cone edge opacity at 40. View rotation on, interior zoom off, and then these are important. So your view distance on foot and in-ground vehicle, you want them at 300. You want to be able to see as much as you can of people in front of you, and 300 allows you to do that. That's just what I found in my opinion. So you could put it at 250. I don't know how good that you'll be able to see. Maybe if you have a big monitor, 250 will do, but I like it at 300. And then for your infantry compass, show compass and multiplayer on, compass on, the opacity at 100, and display spotted enemies on. And then for your crosshair, this is kind of personal preference. You want your opacity at 100 for sure. I put the intensity down to 85, just so it's not like blaring in your face where your crosshair is. I have the color, it's gold because I'm from Pittsburgh, and black and gold are my colors. Thickness, default, and then you want your infantry crosshair projection off. And then for your hit indicators, you want your opacity at 100 so you can see who you're hitting and what you're hitting. You want the intensity at 70, like anywhere between 60 and 70 is good. And then these are personal preference. I like my headshot color to be a bright lime green so I could see where I'm hitting headshots. And then I have my kill color at a bright red as opposed to like a dull red. And then the rest of these are pretty much standard. And then we're going to skip the campaign tab and go straight to controller. Alright, now on to the dreaded controller tab, man. So there's a lot of settings in controller, but I'm going to simplify it as best I can. I'm really only going to talk about the infantry settings. So first and foremost, you want to hit Y or triangle on PlayStation to edit your settings. Go to control settings, and starting with the aim tab, I have my sensitivity, my infantry aim sensitivity at 50. I found 50 to be the most comfortable for me. It's not too fast, not too slow. I might bump it up to 55 at some point, but right now I have it at 50. Go down to your field of view. This is very important. Field of view in Battlefield, especially RedSec or BR, I keep it at 115. When I was playing Warzone, I had mine at 117. But for multiplayer and RedSec combined, I like it at 115. I found that to be the sweet spot. Next, you want to turn off uniform infantry aiming. This uses it uses your field of view and your zoom. Like whenever you aim in, it combines the two, and I just don't like it. It's just not. Just trust me. Uniform infantry aiming, you want this off. Obviously, you want your aim assist and aim assist slowdown to be 100. And then for the infantry aim input curve, I found Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4 to be the best. It just feels fluid to me. Again, this is another setting you could tweak, but Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4 feels best to me. You want the aim input curve to standard, and the stick input acceleration presets to Battlefield 4, Battlefield 3, and Battlefield Bad Company. Again, this is personal preference, but I found this to be fluid as well. And then for aiming left, right acceleration, I have it at 12. And let's just put it this way, the lower the better. I don't want it all the way to 0, but 12 I found to be the best. Onto the movement tab, you want your sprint to be left stick forward. This sounds like common sense, but I think it comes standard as left stick, like press in the left stick. You want this to be left stick up. So just hit A or X on PlayStation and move your left stick up and then bind it. And I have a little bit of stick drift, so my controller's going nuts. But that's what you want. Next, for slide, you want either B or circle on PlayStation. So just, again, hit A or X, B, bind anyway, and bam. Again, like I said, double tap crouch for sprint slide, you want this off, just so you can press your B or circle button once to slide. And then for the infantry zoom aim sensitivity, I found 86 to be the best. I might drop this slightly, but this is basically your, like in Warzone, this is like your custom aim sensitivity or whatever. So I have it at 86. And then zoom transition sensitivity smoothing, I have this on. And I have them all at 100. I don't really tweak that at all, but yeah. And then for other, Parachute auto deploy, you want this tethered only. This is essentially free fall in Warzone, and it dictates when you pull your parachute. So you want obviously to manually pull your chute, and that's what tethered only does. And then I'm just gonna scroll down here. These are all standard. And then if you hit B or circle, the control mapping, these are just your button layout. This is just your button layout. This is mine if you're curious. I'm gonna try and scroll down slowly. Oh, and one thing to note, under weapons and equipment, I have my fire button as right bumper. That's just personal preference. It's comfortable for me and the way I play as a quadriplegic, but I just wanted to note that since I'm only talking about infantry, for your gunner, your vehicles, your helicopter, jet, whatever, you're gonna have to bind your fire button to right bumper if you're playing like me, or whatever button you use to fire your weapon or shoot, you're gonna have to bind that for each individual setting under vehicles, gunner, jet. You get the drift. So again, I'm just going down slowly or trying to. Oh yeah, for the rangefinder, zeroing if zoomed, you want to keep this as your aiming button, like your zoom button. Just because when you do use your rangefinder, it uses the same button to aim in. Alright, that's really all you need. And then one little secret tip, if you go all the way down to other under controller settings, you can find the controller tuning tab, and this is basically your dead zones. So these are my dead zones here for my left stick and right stick. I have my center dead zone at 6, my axial dead zone at 10, and my max input threshold at 70 on my left stick. Just because I have a little bit of stick drift, I mean, I can literally show you here. Like, you see that little bump up there? Like, if I scroll up on my left stick a little bit, it drags the settings upward. You know what I mean? So anyway, you want your max input threshold anywhere between 60 to 70, I would say, just so you don't have to use your full range of motion on your left stick to move. You'll have to tweak that how you see fit, but anyway, for the right stick, my center dead zone's at 8, axial dead zone's at 6, and max input threshold's at 100. I think that's standard, but you definitely want your threshold at 100 on your right stick so that you have complete control of your aim. And then these are my dead zones for my triggers. I don't even really use my triggers besides my right trigger to throw a grenade, I think. But yeah, I use my sax buttons on my Scuffin' Vision Pro, so I don't even use my triggers. But yeah, like I said, for the vehicles, the aircraft, you're going to have to tune those how you see fit. I just wanted to go over the general infantry settings. So if you back out, we're going to get into the graphics settings next. Alright, so on to the graphics settings. Just a disclaimer, I have a pretty low end PC. I have a gaming laptop, so my settings are going to differ to yours, but I have a 4050 NVIDIA GPU. It's a laptop GPU, like I said, so it's literally a 6 gigabyte graphics card, so my memory is like right on the cusp. My VRAMs are right on the cusp of like going overboard, but yeah, anyway. So you want to go down to graphics quality settings, and you want to set it to custom. And again, if you have a high-end PC, you could probably set most of these to high or ultra, but I have all mine at low or off. Alright. Next, your world brightness. I put it at 40 just because it makes the game a little darker, but not too dark. I think it comes standard at 50. Yeah, 50. But I just like to tint it a little bit. I found that to be best for me, 40. Keep the UI brightness and sharpness at 50. Go to the advanced tab. Obviously, you want to play at 100 render resolution. I have my NVIDIA Reflex low latency on enabled plus boost, or on plus boost. And then again, depending on your PC, because I do play on PC, I have my upscaling technique on DLSS. I don't do that in Warzone. I don't think you need it in Warzone. You need Fidelity FX CAS. But on Battlefield 6, I like DLSS, and it definitely increases my performance, especially with the upscaling quality on ultra performance. I think I've been getting like roughly 130 to 140 FPS on Battlefield with my PC, my low-end PC, so that's pretty good. You want frame gen off. You definitely want all these off. And then the performance overlay, that's personal preference, if you want it on or not. And then go down to the camera settings, field of view, like I said, at 115. And then your third person field of view, you want all the way to 83. And then weapon field of view, you want that on wide so that your weapon appears smaller. Weapon motion blur and world motion blur off, turn them off, all the way to 0. Camera shake amount all the way down to 50. You don't want your camera to shake when you're playing. Reduce sprint camera bobbing, you want that off. Your chromatic aberration off. Vignette, however you say that, off. Film grain off. And then again, this is your display. I play on 144 hertz monitor, and you want to make sure that that's at the highest hertz possible. And then also you want your VSync off. Next, we'll get into the audio tab, man. Alright guys, so we're on to the final tab, the audio tab. And audio is very tricky to tune or optimize, but I'm going to try and attempt to give you the best settings, especially on PC. There's a bunch of different things you can do, but anyway, here we go. We're at master volume. You want that at 100. Sound effects volume, definitely want that at 100. You want to be able to hear every little footstep possible, whether it's your teammates or the enemies. Music volume, turn that to 0. You don't want any music while you're playing. Commander VO volume, that's like all your announcements. I keep that at 70, just so I can hear whenever there's like an airstrike or anything like that. The soldier and campaign VO, I have that at 80. I don't want it too loud to the point where it's distracting me, whenever my character says some random BS. I don't want that to distract me from hearing footsteps. The UI sound effects volume, I have that at 45. That's just like basically whenever you hit like this, whenever I do this, that's the volume that you hear whenever you're scrolling through your settings. Your hit indicator, obviously want that on. Sound system, here's the configuration tab. This is the most important part of audio. So I have my sound system on headphones. The headphones gives you the best directional audio from what I found. I do use the Art is War audio tune. Art is the GOAT, man. He gives you the best footstep detection possible. The audio mix, I found night mode to be the best. War tapes is way too loud. It sounds like you're literally in a war zone or on the battlefield. It's just way too loud. So night mode is ideal. Audio and background off, music and menus off, and then voice chat. This is just up to you if you want it on or not. The ducking is essentially whenever you when somebody is talking to you, how loud the game is while they're talking to you, if that makes any sense. So I have that at 25. And then all this is just my setup. And then for accessibility, again, you want your tinnitus sound effects volume at 0 and your relief frequency at 2000, the lowest. And then you want your radio music off. And then subtitles are really up to you. This is my setting. These are my settings, but I turn really everything off except for the outline. But yeah, man, that pretty much concludes my settings for Battlefield 6 RedSec. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to watch my video, man. We are on the road to 300 subs, and I know I haven't posted in a long time, but I've been dealing with schoolwork. School comes first, you know how it goes at Arizona State University virtually, so I'm studying to become a registered dietitian or a dietetic technician. I'm getting my bachelor's of science out there, and it's my degree is going to be in applied nutrition and health. So I'm very excited to get my job and my professional career going. But anyway, like I said, thank you for taking the time out of your day to watch my video. I really do appreciate it, and I will catch you guys all in the next one. Peace out.